It's 19 hours GMT. Good evening and welcome to News 360 from the News Hub here in Accra. I am Nisamoni.
And I am Portia Gabo. Coming up, the headlines.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by Deluxe Paint, Heaven Black Mosquito Coil and Spray,
Calipo, and Nido Fortigro. Your love, their future.
In the headlines, building huge grave for the dead, gradually becoming the toast of many in some parts of the country. We will tell you more.
Oh, Christmas tree, how lovely are you? Well, we're not talking about branches here. We are talking about plastic bottles. We'll tell you the story about how a man in his own small way helps in recycling plastic waste into a Christmas tree.
Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, Defense Emergency Medical Drone Deal approved by Parliament.
Coming up in Mission tonight, broken down culverts and bad roads impeding efforts at improving healthcare in the Central District of the Ashanti region.
On the foreign front, British Prime Minister Theresa May accuses one of his predecessors, Tony Blair, of undermining Brexit talks by calling for another referendum.
We have details coming up shortly. Do stay with us. In our very first story, we'll tell you the story about how building huge graves for the dead is becoming the toast of many in some parts of the country. Society leaders say this is to remember legacies and keep memories intact. Bright Nana Amfo reports the marked graves afford the living the chance to communicate with the dead. Viewers are warned that pictures coming up could be disturbing.
They start like this, a simple dugout, but slowly they develop into giant structures. They decorate roadsides, though sometimes they are left in the bushes unattended to. In what seems a contest to outdo one another, it is an honor for the dead. It is also to keep the memory of the dead. For many, honoring the departed is an obligation. Families must find resources to do this. It signifies respect for the dead, and also the belief that the dead lives even after departing this earth.
We believe in, life after death. So, gone are the days when a chief dies and, the chief doesn't go alone. The servants will have to go with the chief. Utensils and all those things that makes him, the regalias and all those things that makes him a chief, they have to, include it so that at least the chief takes it to the next world. Or, as a sign of telling us that there is life after death.
The Asantes believe in life after death, so are the Fantis and several other tribes across the country. In parts of Kumewu and Kwaman areas in the Ashanti region and Tano in the Bonaaf region, these gigantic graves virtually seem to decorate the skies. This is not only limited to these areas. In fact, my trips around the northern region and parts of the Volta and Greater Accra region show these graves are common. Sometimes, remembering great personalities who led very historic lives and were role models are done through erecting these huge and towering graves.
This is the grave of the high-life music legend Thomas Frimpong, who died in 2013, right here at Kumewu in the Central Kumewu district. Now, for those who are interested in finding out the final resting place, and also for tourists who want to know where this great man is lying, this is where it is located. The graves are to remind the people of the good works of these persons And as said by the kings of this area, it is to help them communicate with the dead.
These great personalities can be studied, and so those who want to undertake such academic ventures and rewrite the life stories of these great personalities know exactly where to go to get primary information. For traditional and cultural reasons, these graves are kept.
Sometimes when you see even people sitting on the graves, their forefathers' grave, you see them sitting on it, and you know, it's their own belief and it's their own faith that they think they communicate with the dead, and you know, the dead is able to do something for them. So it's our tradition, and of course that has made it so. If you are a chief and you want to have peace, make sure you don't touch those areas. Make sure you don't touch those areas. See, sometimes you hear somebody going to sell, you know, a graveyard, land to somebody, and it becomes it's an abomination to do that.
These imposing graves could be something more than just graves. They are attractive, carries a lot of history, contains remains of economic giants, acclaimed musicians, renowned medical professionals, historians, and great scientists. Lest I forgot, they could also be containing the remains of great and outstanding journalists and maybe politicians or those who taught all of these persons teachers. And so, in building them, everything is done to make sure these graves look outstanding when completed. This is how important these graves are to our societies. Unfortunately, when royals die, they don't get to sleep in these graves. Their graves are unmarked and in deep forest according to some traditions. Could these graves become Ghana's next tourist attractions? And how long will they remain the toast of tourists? Perhaps the next couple of Ghanaian graves could be ones that could compete with great architectural designs across the globe.
Very soon, this giant structure here will be completed, and it will add up to the number of very beautifully decorated graves in this part of the country. The belief of the people is that giving befitting burials to their dead is a great honor. And the fact is that when they want answers to their questions, when they want answers to their worries, they want answers to the concerns that they have, they can come here and talk to the dead. Brighton and Anfo, TV3, Kwamai.
Very interesting story there, but it all has to do with people's beliefs. Now, Christmas is not only one of the most joyous occasions, but also one of the most waste-generated periods of the year. This is because tons of Christmas decorations, which are not recycled, end up in landfills, having a negative impact on the environment. Poshagabo tells the story of how one man, in his small way, is helping to recycle plastic waste at Christmas.
Deck the halls with boughs of holly. Tis the season to...
It's Christmas once again. Most households would have been decorated with the green and red colors of the season, with a Christmas tree, lights and gifts wrapped up featuring prominently. But have you taken a second look at what your Christmas decor and gifts may be made up of? Majority of decorations used to liven up our homes, streets and offices, such as the Christmas tree, gift wrappers and ornaments are made up of plastics. If not recycled, most of the decor you find at Christmas will end up on landfills. One man, however, wants to help reduce the impact of plastics generated during Christmas by producing a Christmas tree made up of plastic bottles. Meet Makafui Ewuku. He is an environmental conservationist and founder of Macintosh Creators, a startup using smart ways of putting discarded plastic waste to good use. Today, he's received an order to install a unique kind of Christmas tree for a restaurant at Medina. It takes about 7 hours and over 300 discarded plastic bottles to produce a Christmas tree.
Last year, November, whilst I was doing my yearly internship, I realized that they do a lot of board meetings at the office, and then there's a lot of water bottles left. I look at the SDGs, and the Sustainable Communities and Cities was the one that I was interested in. So I decided that I was going to be packing the water bottles down. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it, but I decided I was going to pack it down anyway. So a few weeks to Christmas, I was like, well, Christmas is almost here. Can I try my hands at the Christmas tree with the bottles? It was a question I asked myself. So I drew up a design for the tree. I got a welder to weld a frame for me in the form of a tree.
It does not take much to make a Christmas tree made up with plastic bottles. Pipe and rods are welded into a frame of a Christmas tree. Bottles are perforated and ropes are passed through bottles around the tree frame. Decorations, lights and a star are then installed. And adding a pop of color to it, you have your Christmas tree.
Oh, Christmas tree, how lovely are you? Well, we're not talking about branches here. We are talking about plastic bottles. The founder of Macintosh Creatives, Makafui Ewuku, is passionate about using plastic bottles to make a Christmas tree. Well, he wants to draw and create the awareness about plastic waste pollution.
People were also surprised to see these things. It didn't really occur to me that someone could do this from a waste.
So what happens to the bottles when Christmas is over?
We let it hang around for a while because of the plastic bottles factor. And the aim is to influence people's behavior. So after some time, we uninstall it, we pack up the lights and everything. And the next Christmas, we install it again. So nothing that we use for this tree goes back into the environment. We use them for other artwork. So one of our visions is to have a tree, a moving Christmas tree, do like a road show.
Everyone can help reduce, reuse and recycle plastic waste at Christmas, with Ghana naturally blessed with lots of trees and vegetation which look like Christmas trees. You too can also have an environmentally friendly Christmas by simply decorating them with lights. Whichever way you choose to decorate your home or office this Christmas, do have the environment in mind. Have an environmentally friendly Christmas. Poshigabo, TV3 News, Accra.
In other news, the Accra Regional Police Command has intercepted 2,000 assorted inferior rice being rebagged for sale. 8 suspects were picked up during the operation conducted jointly with the Food and Drugs Authority and are currently assisting the police in further investigations.
The swoop on Tuesday, December 11, followed a tip-off about the rebagging of fake rice into standard bags. According to the police, a surveillance was conducted in Okaishi where the alleged rebagging was ongoing. The team then swooped on the warehouse where 40-year-old Al-Hassan Husseini and Sumaila Sudik, 50, were found busily rebagging the inferior rice.
They buy a low-cost or unknown brand in the market, then they go in search of known or high quality brand rice. They get the bags and repackage them into these well-known branded bags and sell it at the high cost price that's usually available in the market.
The 2 suspects reportedly admitted to the offense in their caution statement to the police, adding that they have been in the business for the past 5 years. Al-Hassan and Sumaila later led the police to arrest their main distributor together with 5 other employees. All 8 suspects are being questioned by the police.
So we all need to be very careful of the kind of things we buy from the markets. Consumers must be very careful whenever we are buying our bags of rice for the occasion.
Meanwhile, the Food and Drugs Authority has begun investigations into the source and status of the rice. The head of communications at the Food and Drugs Authority, James Latte, explained how the ordinary person can identify the fake or rebagged rice on the markets.
If you notice that where it's been stitched, you could see old holes apart from where the new stitches had come. that tells you that this rice has been opened and has been resealed. Secondly, if you notice that the thread that is used maybe at the mouth to seal it, the color is different from the thread that is at the base. That's another thing that should alert you that this could be a rebag rice. Another thing too is that if you notice that the bag has been fatigued, that is being reused, that should alert you that it could be a rebagged rice. Again, sometimes you will see that there are double date markings. For instance, you see 2 manufacturing dates on it and 2 expiry dates on it. So these are some of the things that will alert the general public.
The warehouse is currently locked and under police protection.
Indeed, the era of fake rice is now here. Thanks to the FDA, we have found them out. You're watching News 360, and some footbridges, which were washed away by recent downpours in the Ashanti region, have been reconstructed to ease movement and protect lives. Other collapsed bridges are, however, yet to be reconstructed, though timelines by local assemblies to fix their bridges have elapsed. Ibrahim Abubakar reports.
In May and July this year, some footbridges in the Ashanti region collapsed as a result of devastating rainstorm. Most communities were cut off, affecting movements. Users had to risk their lives to cross from one end of the road to the other. But checks by TV3 indicate some of the badly affected footbridges have been reconstructed. The bridge linking Bomso and Anglonga became inaccessible after its collapse, but it has been reconstructed by the Oforikrom Municipal Assembly. Some residents commended the assembly for fixing the collapsed footbridge, but have other concerns.
This bridge is quite safer than the first one, and we are so thankful for that.
When it was broken, we walked in the river barefooted, but when it has been built, we walked freely without any panicking.
Another collapsed bridge at Anglonga has also been reconstructed temporarily. The steel bridge linking Wewesu MA Primary School has also been fixed. Pupils and other users now cross the bridge without any difficulty. But the bridge linking Ahinsan to Anglonga is yet to be reconstructed. Residents in the area have had to use this improvised wooden walkway. Assemblyman for Anglonga electoral area, Amidu Gaba, says the bridge becomes inaccessible whenever it rains.
We are hoping that they should do better for us. And the Sisechi Bridge, that is also another major road for us. If Sisechi Bridge is also constructed, then it's going to release the go-slow at Aunaga Junction and the Opoku transport. Whoever comes along that way can easily pass to Sisechi Bridge and then go to Tech or wherever you want to go, or Hinsan Estate.
Away from the Ashanti region, the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, Osei Mensa Bonsu, has defended the emergency medical drone deal approved by Parliament. According to him, persons opposed to the arrangement were making the argument from a wrong premise. He gave the justification at a dialogue with the media organized by the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs in Accra.
The media dialogue attracted media personnel and the academia. The forum was to help interrogate the performance of Ghana's fourth Republican Parliament since 1993 with a view to identifying the strengths and weaknesses of the institution for the consolidation of democracy.
Parliament sometimes doesn't open up. In fact, one of the issues is that committee deliberations are still closed. That does not promote, in our view, transparency of all Parliament's businesses.
Acting Chief Director of the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs, Dr. Evans Agridakon, said the ministry recognizes the role of the media in deepening inclusiveness in a participatory democracy. The Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, Osei Mensa Bonsu, defended the recently approved agreement between government and Zipline Ghana Limited for drones to be used to deliver emergency health products.
This whole business is predicated on what happened when the central medical stores got burnt. We all know what happened. And the nation lost over $200 million. The emphasis now is to localize. Let's go down the districts. Let's not stock one central place and allow people to pilfer and steal, and then thereafter go and burn the whole edifice down so that we lose so much as a nation. I'm not only convinced, but I'm persuaded that this enterprise is worth pursuing.
It will be recalled that the minority in Parliament opposed the approval of the agreement, raising concerns of the country being ripped off, arguing there was no value for money. On the Right to Information Bill, Oseche Mensah Bonsu explained that a significant amount of work had already been done and is likely to be passed in this session of Parliament or the next one. Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu also lauded the media for their watchdog role and their efforts at ensuring inclusiveness.
Report on petroleum revenue and petroleum expenditure. You must help this country so that we bring some discipline to how petroleum resources are being dispersed in this country. I mean, if you see annually what goes out, annual budget funding amount, yet we cannot point, and I'm not talking about MPP, even under NDC, we should be able to point concrete outcomes of the expenditure relative to revenue.
The media dialogue was on the theme interrogating Parliament's contribution to the consolidation of Ghana's democracy thus far, the perspective of the media.
And more than 30 manufacturers of agricultural products have been taken through training on quality management systems under the International Standards Organization certifications at Kpong in the Lower Manya district of the Eastern region. The program, under the auspices of the Ghana Standards Authority, was organized by GIZ, a German non-governmental organization. Here is a report by Yvonne Nikwe.
The 3 ISO standards are specific focused. The ISO 9001 is on total quality management system. ISO 4501 focuses on operational health and safety, whilst ISO 22000 deals with food safety management systems. Participating companies are expected to improve on their value chain to meet export quality and have products certified. An official from the Ghana Standard Authority, Emmanuel Asare, outlined gains manufacturers stand to benefit if they meet ISO certifications.
Most companies that have been able to apply themselves to that are able to attest to the fact that there's some kind of sustenance in terms of their markets. They are also able to use that as a trump card to enter into other foreign markets. There's effectiveness in terms of their operations, resource allocation, and then everybody is also made to feel a part of the organization, knowing very well that whatever they contribute inures to the benefit of the organization.
The head of the GIZ Market Agriculture Oriented Program, Dr. Elk Stampf, explained his role in promoting production quality and safety along the value chain among the private sector and providing the necessary information for political decision makers for the public sector.
Over the last years, we put the focus very much on the processing side of the value chains, on the enterprises, because they're the entry point for each and everything when you work along the value chain. Of course, they need a very good production in quantity and quality, but then they have to also adhere to other standards.
Some participants shared their views on the program.
It's the best for every company or organization to be part of it because it's going to help you to organize your process very well. It's kind of giving you a wide experience where you can sell or be able to enter into other markets that you want to get to.
The GIZ program is a wonderful program because it will not only help me in improving the manufacturing standards of my product, but it will also help open an external or export market for my product.
This is the third project GIZ is embarking on, but the first solely for local manufacturers in the country.
70% of fraud cases in the banking industry, according to the Bank of Ghana, are said to be perpetrated by staff members of financial institutions. Managing Director of Cal Bank, Frank Edu Jr., disclosed on this at a Thanksgiving service of the bank in Accra, warned staff of the bank no one would be shielded if found to be engaged in any fraudulent deal.
The Thanksgiving service was to show appreciation to God for a successful year and to give recognition to the staff for dedicated service. Staff of the bank from various branches converged at the bank's premises to be part of the service. Joy was what was written on the faces of each of them as they sang and danced to the glory of God. Managing Director of Carl Bank, Frank D. Jr., said the bank has met the Bank of Ghana's minimum capital requirement and thanked the staff for efforts put in to achieve this feat.
We had a lot of headwinds in 2018. We had a lot of opposition, difficulty, etc. But thanks to God Almighty, we weathered all the storm and we've come this far.
He stressed bank staff will not be given the opportunity to engage in any shady deals as some of them are already in jail for perpetrating fraud.
You must pay a price for stealing. Unfortunately, this comes after we just jailed somebody for 4 years. Now, after this gentleman, there is another one. And we went after him yesterday, and he ran away from his home at dawn. We will track him down. There is no profit in stealing, trust me. And you should not mess up your young lives by doing that. The fact that the money sits there doesn't mean it's yours.
Frank D. Jr. reiterated the bank will continue to uphold the core values to the banking industry and ensure the satisfaction of customers. Long-serving and dedicated workers of the bank were honored with the encouragement to put in more to make the bank better.
And now, President Akufo-Addo has sacked 3 High Court judges who were implicated in acts of bribery and corruption with immediate effect. The judges, A.C. Addo, Paul Derry, and Mustafa Habib Logo, were all on suspension following investigative journalist Anas Armiyawa Anas's expose on the judiciary. A letter signed by a communications director at the presidency said the dismissal was occasioned by recommendations of a committee established by the Chief Justice, Justice Sofa Ekufo, to investigate a complaint lodged by Anas Armiyawa Anas against the 3 judges. President Akufo-Addo has also directed that a copy of the committee's report be submitted to the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service for requisite action to be taken.
Hello again, it's now time for Mission, and this program is brought to you by Star Ghana with funding from UK Aid, Danida and the EU. Well, tonight's Mission this Sunday begins work on 2 districts of the Ashanti region, that's Setre Central and Setre Kumewu districts. Well, the exposition starts with uncovering the challenges with education, health and gender. We begin from health sector. And tonight, poor access to health facilities due to broken down culverts and bad roads is impeding efforts at improving healthcare in the Setre Central district of the Ashanti region.
This is the ordeal of drivers. Many dread plying the route. This is one of the many cars that ply the stretch. These are kind of specialized vehicles because they have learned to use this side of a road. Now, it has to wade through the water, and because it is quite heavier compared to the smaller taxi cabs, it is able to go. But even here, this is the situation. It just got locked up somewhere, and it is struggling very hard to go through the water that has collected here. This is part of the journey where drivers really struggle to go through. Sometimes they simply can't go and will have to wait until the passengers have to get down and pull the car out of the water. This is exactly what has happened here. A bad situation affecting the district terribly in this part of the country. Several of them won't drive here due to this. The daring ones will make the attempt, but this is the result. For hours, all energies are directed at pulling the vehicle out. So after several efforts to get the car out where it is stuck, the driver has given up and is now looking for another option to get the vehicle out. The engine is still on just to ensure that water does not get into the exhaust and into the engine. Now, we're trying to find out how we can use another car, bring it to the bank of the river and pull this vehicle out here. It's a terrible situation here, and this is what drivers go through here all the time, because this culvert that got broken after it was constructed has posed several problems for the people who live in this part of the district. There's a total cutoff of residents of Birim and beyond to the other side of the district. But attempts after attempts are not successful. But once pulled out, a second attempt is made to cross. This time, successful.
This whole community here, they don't have any assemblyman or MP here to solve their problem for us. No? It is not fair, as we can see, no? We are all suffering. You have to complete this bridge for us so that every problem will be solved.
Because of this, several drivers will simply drop off passengers and leave. Then these commuters would have to trek the rest of the journey.
I got stuck here once and the tractor had to pull me out. Please help us get the culvert built.
Residents of communities including Chiesu, Jeduakon, Atonso and Birim suffer this ordeal daily. The culvert was to link residents to Nsuta and beyond. Farmers produce in large quantities, but they end up here unable to get to Nsuta. Sometimes when drivers dare to go and pick foodstuff, high transport fares scare off traders. The river Beni gets flooded and cuts off people living across the river. Healthcare is the most affected.
Hospital and
A pregnant woman had to be carried across the river in a tractor and a canoe before she could be taken to a health facility.
The
district health service is frustrated in ensuring service delivery at hard-to-reach areas.
About 70% to 80% of all the facilities are concentrated around the capital, the district capital, which forms the nucleus of the district. And so health service delivery is basically concentrated here. And accessibility is a problem for us as health staff going there.
Personnel have, however, devised means of at least providing some help during these times.
We make sure that before the raining season, we resource these facilities with medicines, with non-drug consumables, with other logistics that they need, so that when we are not able to go there, they can actually fall on those resources that they have to be able to deliver.
The stretch from Nsuta to Birim now takes several hours to ply. The culvert is said to have been awarded to a contractor some 6 months ago. It caved in right after completion. Thus, the already terrible situation of commuters on the stretch is compounded. The assembly can no longer fund reconstruction, and so residents now suffer the drudgery when using that stretch. The assembly says it is pursuing the roads ministry to get this fixed.
We did it once in our own resources, but it collapsed again. That's about the third time we've lost what is done. So that one too, the federal roads engineer came Documentations on it has been done. It has been sent to the minister, and we are still following up. Surveying work and the quantities and all those things that have been done by the federal roads. In fact, a copy has been sent to the minister. I have also sent a copy to the minister, and we are talking about it to make sure contractors will come on site. Because if it's not done and it starts raining again, that will be another. If I should show you videos of community complaining, and even I myself, but a lot of our products come from that section of our district. And if they are cut off during the rain season, what we're saying is that we should allow their crops to get rot.
The Assembly is sure the economy of Secretariat Central will see a massive boost if this culvert and several other bridges are constructed. This, the Assembly says, is beyond its capability and wants assistance from central government. Brighton Anamfo, TV3.
The Setre Kumewu district, over 120 pupils of Domasi Primary School study in a very poor environment. 6 classes are served by only 2 rooms. Others study under trees. Bright Nana Amfo reports the plight of the school has touched the hearts of a new district director of education who has pledged to adopt the school and help build a new block for pupils.
224, 236, 236, 248, 248.
Young ones learning under difficult conditions. Making early child learning environment attractive is known to draw children closer to school. But this is entirely different here.
212, 24, 212, 24. Look for here.
Domasi has only 2 rooms. A third, which is an office, has been converted into Class 2. Class 1 sits under this shed, and KG2 pupils have lessons here.
We have schools that attract people from very distant places, especially the basic education. Because if you say you are citing schools that will be near the children, population will also be a problem. Domasi is one. I travel beyond Domasi, and where I go to find out where some of the children are traveling to attend school at Domasi, in fact, I actually didn't like it.
Their juniors, KG1, are therefore compelled to sit under this mango tree. Having lessons under this is a challenge. These are children of settler farmers. Their parents work hard to provide food for urban centers. This is the education the state can offer to their children.
What I did was to find out along that track where maybe a school can be located. Fortunately, I located one area. Though the DCE had already told me about another location. So we are actually partnering the assembly to look at this.
The school is well staffed, about 9 teachers.
But in the basic level,
all of them trek from Bodumasi daily, about 45 minutes walk.
If I one early morning, I was there to give them some few furniture that I had from one school. And when I got there, not a single soul. So I was there when the children started coming. Then I asked them, and they said in that community, in fact, because of the distance, they start school very late.
They told me you are lucky if you get a vehicle to school. Though the road leading to the school is well tarred. The head teacher said he has written to the assembly and the education directorate and are waiting to hear from them.
Do it. At times you have to take class 4 bus and then teach before you come and take the class 5 bus, and then at the same time 6. So it becomes very difficult.
How is the assembly working to deal with this problem? What have they been telling you?
About a month ago, the DC came here with a lot of his members. And then our district director also came among with them. And they told us that they will come and then build a new building for us.
They therefore want non-governmental organizations to come to their aid while they wait to hear from the Assembly and the Education Directorate.
The other aspect that is also a challenge to us is infrastructure. When I came, it was dotted around, and I could see that we had to develop a pragmatic policy to making sure that we address them. So we, together with the mission or the Christian institution like Methodist, and we assembled the architects as well as that of the district assembly. We were able to renovate most of the classroom block. Now the major one that we are going to deal with is the Domasi DA. It is also a challenge to us because of the nomadic nature of the parents. They don't stay, so you go to a certain classroom and then you have about 2-3 in class 5, about 8 in class 6. So they've been able to come out with a solution whereby we are going to site the school between Ntarentare and Domasi so that it can cater for the settlers at Ntarentare and then that of Domasi.
For parents, a new building will bring them hope that their children's education is receiving the needed attention. Bright Nananfo, TV3.
And that's it for Mission. Mission is supported by Star Ghana with funding from UK Aid, Danida and the EU. Thanks for watching. The maiden edition of Tidium Lodamus concert witnessed electrifying performances that left lasting memories on patrons. Gracing the stage was acclaimed keyboardist, music instructor and talented kids judge Benedict Yati.
The annual Tidium Lodamus concert is a platform to exalt God for his mercies and special favors. Sharing the stage was soloist Franklina Jima. She was simply a delight to watch and listen to, exhibiting some amazing vocal showpiece. Making a special appearance was the man of many parts, Benedict Yati. He showcased brilliance on the keyboard. The music instructor then switched task to conduct. Showing versatility, the acclaimed instrumentalist again exhibited a bit of his singing prowess.
Anybody who knows me that well knows that I'm versatile. When it comes to music, I do all genres of music. That was a song I composed about 25 years ago.
For many years, he's not been doing active music.
I have lots of tracks that I have not recorded. Because of my time, I've not really had time to go to the studio to get all these.
It's been 15 years after releasing his debut album. The talented kids judge is now lacing his boots to wage a comeback.
Trust me, in the few coming months and years, people should expect. In 2019, people should expect a surprise.
In our entertainment news, bedroom commando hitmaker Wendy Shea was among musicians who thrilled the fans to good music on Music Music.
Hey! Everybody now, let's go! 1, 2, 3, let's go! Baby fire, squeeze my tomato. Oh baby.
Music is back with a bigger dose of excitement and entertainment. The show now has a new stage setting and lighting with live social media updates to get viewers to share their comments.
Says if this is the beginning, then we're expecting big from you.
And then also, Noplim also says, so happy music is back. Really happy to see Keche again. Loving the Pressure song. And
after its relaunch on Farmers' Day, December 7th, Bedroom Commando, Hitmaker, and Keche were the first musicians to mount the new stage.
Sir, I want to hear you. Ready? I'm going to be.
It's definitely massive, and it reminds me of my childhood because we always used to sit down every Saturday and then watch music. It's big, it's really big. So yeah, I'm definitely honored to be here on the stage performing for music.
Keep your television channel on TV3 for fun and thrilling moments this Christmas season.
And that's it for this edition of News 360 from the News Hub here in Accra. I am Isa Moni.
And I am Portia Gabo. Coming up as celebrations.